Your website is not a slow cooker. You can't just set it and forget it. And here's why that matters. While you're busy running your business, your WordPress website is collecting outdated plugins, security vulnerabilities and performance issues that are silently driving away visitors. You really have to think of your website more like a car. Skip a few oil changes, well, you might get away with it for a while, but if you skip enough of them, you're looking at engine failure, usually at the worst possible moment. I've seen it happen way too many times, like really beautiful, high performing websites that slowly deteriorate after launch. Not because of bad design or poor hosting, but because of simple neglect. One missed update leads to another, and suddenly you're, dealing with a slow, vulnerable, or, completely broken website. And look, I really do get it. I mean, WordPress maintenance is not exactly the exciting part of running a website. There are plugins to update, backups to manage, security to monitor. It can feel overwhelming, especially when you're already juggling everything else happening in your business, right? But don't worry, I do bring some good news as well. Maintaining your WordPress website doesn't have to be complicated or time consuming. You just need, a clear system and a good pack of tools. And today I'm going to break it all down in plain English. I'll show you exactly what needs to be done daily, weekly, and monthly to keep your website secure, fast, and profitable. And don't worry if tech stuff isn't your thing, I've got a done for you solution that I'll be sharing at the end. So let's start with why WordPress maintenance matters so much. WordPress isn't a static platform, okay? It's more like a living ecosystem. You've got your core WordPress files, your theme, your plugins, and they're all constantly being updated to fix bugs, patch security holes, and add new features to all of these tools. When these parts work together, your site runs really smoothly. But when they fall out of sync, that's when problems start happening. Let me break down the 5 key areas you need to watch. First, there is security. Hackers love, outdated plugins because they're like unlocked doors to your website. In fact, nearly 2/3 of WordPress sites are running at least one vulnerable plugin right now as you're watching this video. And truly, if you think about that, there's a high chance that your website has a security vulnerability that you don't even know about. And it really takes only one outdated plugin for hackers to find their way in. Second, there's speed and SEO. Google actually factors your site speed into your rankings, and every outdated plugin or, unoptimized database is like adding extra weight to your site, which is going to slow it down more and more. And, this doesn't just hurt your rankings, it frustrates your visitors and costs you, it probably costs you sales. And then, of course, we come to trust. And this is crucial in today's digital world. When visitors see error messages or, broken features, they don't blame your plugins. They blame your business. And in an age where people make split-second decisions about whether to trust a website or to trust you as a business, those technical hiccups can send potential customers running away to your competitors. And this brings us to backups, which is, think about backups as your business safety net. Without regular backups, you're essentially gambling with your entire online presence. And I'm not kidding. I mean, it's not just about having backups. It's about having recent, tested backups that you can actually restore when needed. Think of it as your insurance policy in a way for when, not if, but for when something goes wrong. And finally, there's what we like calling technology debt. And this happens when you skip enough small maintenance tasks and small issues snowball into bigger problems. Eventually, you're going to be looking at costly rebuilds or, emergency fixes that could have been avoided in the first place. It's like, just to give you an analogy, it's like ignoring that check engine light. The problem only gets more expensive the longer you wait. All right, let's just quickly recap everything that we've covered so far. Security vulnerabilities and outdated plugins that put your site at risk, speed issues that hurt your SEO and user experience, trust factors that impact your business reputation, the critical importance of reliable backups, and the growing cost of delayed maintenance. Now, let me give you a practical maintenance schedule that any website owner can follow. I've broken this down into daily, weekly, and monthly tasks, and I promise it's actually simpler than it sounds. Let's start with what you should be checking for daily. And don't worry, this is going to take you minutes, not hours. First, you want to be checking for backups. And look, if you're not doing regular backups yet, don't worry, you're not alone. It's one of those things many website owners overlook until something goes wrong. But it's an easy fix. I mean, I'm going to show you how to set it all up. Look, the key is to confirm your backups are actually running and being stored safely. You'd be surprised by how many automatic backups silently fail without anyone noticing. And if you're doing your backups with something like Duplicator Pro, like I am, you can actually have these tools email you if your backups were to fail for some reason. And, something as simple as that actually takes the guesswork out of the equation, which is really nice. You also want to be taking a quick look at your security logs. Tools like WordFence or Sucuri make this super easy. And here you're just checking for any unusual activity happening on your site. And last but not least important, just do a quick visit to your main pages on your website. Make sure that they're all loading as they're supposed to be loading, and that your forms are sending information through just fine. Weekly tasks are where we get a little bit more hands-on. This is when you'll want to run your updates, but here's a crucial tip. Always back up before updating anything. Think of it again as, backing up your site as your safety net. If you run some updates and something goes wrong and your website breaks, trust me, you're going to be really grateful for having backed up your site, because now you can simply go back in time and restore your website to the point where it was running smoothly. Next, you want to clean up your database. You want to think of this like clearing out your garage. All those old post revisions, spammy comments, and expired transients are just, collecting dust and slowing everything down. Now, let me show you exactly what to clean and how. Start with post revisions. Every time you save a draft, WordPress creates a new revision for that post. If you've been working on your site for a while, you might have hundreds or even thousands of these taking up space, and you may not even know about this. So keep maybe the last 5 revisions of each post, but you don't need 50 of them, for that one blog post that you were working on 2 years ago. Now, the next thing that you want to do is clear out your spam comments and any comments that may be sitting in your trash. These pile up faster than you'd think. And then, of course, there's your transients. These are temporary bits of data that WordPress uses to speed things up, but sometimes they get stuck and never clear themselves out, and you can clean all of these manually through PHPMyAdmin if you're technically inclined to do this. But if you're not technical enough, I recommend using a plugin like WP Optimize or WP Rocket. They make it as simple as checking a few boxes, and then they'll show you exactly how much space you're saving. Pardon me for being this insistent and for emphasizing this so much, but be sure to be running those backups, because I promise you at some point you'll update something or you clean up your database and something will go wrong, and you'll want to restore your website to the previous day in which you backed up your site and things were running smoothly. You might not always need your backup. In fact, we probably won't need it most days, but it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Now, for your monthly maintenance, think of this as your website's deep clean. You want to run a full security scan. This is different from your daily checks, okay? It's a comprehensive scan that looks for malware or suspicious code changes. I personally use WordFence for this. Their free version does a great job of just scanning your entire site for any suspicious files or code modifications. You can just hit start scan and let it do its thing while you work on other things. Now, on a monthly basis, you truly want to be checking all of your forms and make sure that all of your emails are being delivered, all of your pricing tables work as they should be, your checkout forms are operating properly. You want to make sure you're not losing any sales because something broke. You don't want to discover a broken contact form after missing leads for weeks. And here's what I personally do. I set aside 5 minutes to test each of my forms on my site by just submitting a test message. I just type something like, monthly form test on all of my contact forms, and I use my personal email address as the contact email in my forms. This way I know for sure that the forms are working and emails are being delivered in my inbox and not my spam folders. You definitely want to be reviewing user accounts at least once a month, okay? This is crucial because compromised admin accounts are one of the leading causes of WordPress hacks. So just make sure that you're removing any old team members who no longer need access to your website. And, just make sure everyone has the right permission levels. Not everyone needs to be an admin, okay? In fact, the more admin accounts you have on your site, the more potential entry points you're giving away to hackers. And look, a good rule of thumb is to just keep admin access limited to only those team members who absolutely need it for their day-to-day work. And once a month, just, take a look at your analytics. Are there any sudden drops in traffic? Are there pages that aren't performing as they should be? This monthly check-in just helps you catch issues before they become problems. Before we go, let me share with you 3 strategies that will make this maintenance work easier and more effective. First, you want to be creating a calendar reminder for each of these tasks. It's simple, but it works, okay? When maintenance becomes part of your routine, it actually makes it easier for you to get it done. The second thing is to actually document your process. I mean, write down your specific plugins, your hosting details, and your backup locations. If something goes wrong, you'll thank yourself for having this information easily available. And third, try using automation where you can. I mean, many of these tasks can actually be automated with the right tools, but remember to regularly verify that your automated systems are actually working. Look, I know website maintenance is not the most exciting part of running your business, but it's like that regular oil change that we talked about earlier, right? I mean, a little prevention now saves you from major headaches later. And hey, if you're watching this video and you're thinking, hey, Tony, I truly don't want to be my own IT department. Well, got some good news. That is exactly why we've created Thrive's website maintenance service. We handle everything we've talked about today: the updates, the backups, the security monitoring, speed optimization, all of it. And, it really feels like having a professional mechanic for your website. So, check the links in the description box if you're more interested in that. And if you feel brave enough to take care of this yourself, just drop in a comment in the comment section letting me know which maintenance tasks you find most challenging. I'd love to help you solve it. So yeah, just let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks again. Bye.